Good morning, world.
Good morning.
So we just filmed this whole episode, and I forgot to hit the record button. That never happens.
All right, let's hop into it. I am out here in Tennessee visiting my buddy here. It was his wife's birthday. It was a milestone birthday. So the whole crew came here to celebrate her birthday, and I got to catch a plane in a little bit. I'm looking at my wrist. I don't have a watch on. But so let's get into it. What are we talking about?
First, introduce our...
We're going to talk about a comment that we got from Tom MacDonald's video that we uploaded, The Devil is a Democrat, and we got a comment that we want to focus on. So stay tuned. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. We apologize. We're showing this to you guys on our OG channel, Cedric and Brian, and all of you tuning in to Cedric and Brian Speak Out. We are doing this because we don't have the equipment here to actually do a music video because I just wasn't prepared. Are you prepared? All right, guys. So this is from Nunchuck Taylor, I think. I don't know. I'll put it up on the screen. And he had a problem with our reaction to Tom MacDonald's The Devil is a Democrat, which we know was about Gavin Newsom. So this guy is a Gavin Newsom fan, obviously. He says Gavin Newsom has a 56% approval rating in California compared to Trump's 29%. But yeah, you speak for Californians. Well, that's like calling that's like, Castro used to have 100%. Well, you got every one of the votes in Cuba. So good job, Gavin. You get 56% of the idiots. I know he's not one of them that keep voting this moron in, and it's the reason why guys like me and Elon, because me and Elon are so much
Joe
alike.
Rogan.
So that's why we left. Now, they're rich. They could have easily stayed in California. Us just mere mortal, middle-class people can't afford to stay in a state that is for the rich or the very poor or the illegals.
Yeah. I don't know where that 56% approval rating came from, but like Brian alluded to, like California is quickly becoming a state of the haves and the have-nots. Let's take the fires in Malibu and Pacific Palisades that just happened a few months ago. The people that are being relocated from those burned areas, they're getting tired of waiting for all the red tape to go through so they can start rebuilding. It's taking forever. So they're leaving. So they're coming here to Tennessee. They're going to Florida. They're going to Texas. So what happens when you leave an area? You take your vote with you. Yeah. So the people who are getting the freebies, the handouts, the checks, the stimulus checks for doing nothing, who are they going to vote for? Of course they're going to vote for the leadership that blessed them with those things, and that's why his approval rating is high among those people. And you keep feeding them scraps, you keep feeding the dogs scraps, and they don't get to see the stakes that are on top that they can work for. They're going to keep voting for him.
And what's going to happen is, like with every socialist country, where the couple of them in South America, they were some of the best economies under capitalism, and people get bored of having it good. And all of a sudden they vote in the socialism and those economies collapse because you cannot survive on that. And it's going to happen to California. And like Cedric said, the people that are getting the freebies are voting them in, but you cannot sustain that over time. And so this guy says another thing which leads into this. California has the 4th largest economy in the world, over Japan and Germany. But yeah, he's a failure. Give it time. And remember, those economies were built on the backs of Silicon Valley, who are leaving now one by one, and they were led under actually Republican governors of the state back in the day when we were going through high school and college, or college and afterwards, was Pete Wilson. And then we even had Arnold, who was kind of a Republican. Gavin hasn't been there that long, and people are fleeing. I don't remember what the numbers are of the middle class leaving, but I know that they had his picture on the U-Hauls because they were very happy.
Yes, he was a U-Haul Employee of the Year, actually, from what I understand.
Yeah, so it cannot sustain. And I don't know if this guy lives in California, but if he lived there, he could see a state that we saw before Gavin Newsom took over San Francisco. You would go up to San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge. It was beautiful. We went there right after Gavin Newsom got out of being the mayor and before he became governor in that transition, we would not go back. No. It was homeless, drug addicts, everything in the streets of San Francisco. You couldn't even enjoy the city.
Yes. And I don't know, like it was last year, maybe a year and a half ago, where we had the Chinese consulate come visit San Francisco. And within a span of 24, 48 hours, that entire homeless area was cleaned up and it was spotless. What they did with the homeless people, I have no idea. But as soon as they left, they came right back again. And let's start the process all over again. Wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah. And he says, here's another comment, consistently among the highest in, this is good. California is consistently among the highest in education, healthcare, workers' rights, and literally every other aspect that proves how good a state is doing. But yeah, California is circling the drain. Again, I'm taking this guy's young, for one.
Yes.
Two, education, really. We grew up with the California education system, and we don't speak no good. I'm just kidding.
We weren't learned very well. A lot of things, especially like in what I call government indoctrination centers, public schools, they've gotten away from reading, writing, arithmetic. And for me, I went to a private school. You learned, like in the olden days, you actually learned how to read and write from the Bible. I'm not going to get into that. But now schools are more focused on bringing in, what do they call the drag queens?
Yeah. They don't want anybody to feel bad. First, it started with... Yeah. I think when our kids, they wouldn't let them play a dodgeball anymore because they might get physically hurt. But now it's the point they don't even want their feelings to get hurt. So they don't allow anything that might, that's what kids need. They need a little thicker skin.
Yeah.
And we've taken all that away from them. We've wrapped them in bubble wrap physically and mentally. And now they can't handle everything. And we know what the depression rate is and the suicide rate is.
It's a totally different topic, terrible. But you and I didn't have 40 or 50 vaccines before we started school either.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But then he also talks about healthcare, workers' rights. Yeah, workers' rights. What does that mean? Just keep raising the minimum wage and tell everybody again, employers leave the state and you're not going to have anybody but tax-funded citizens where you're paying people not to work. But again, that gravy train will run out when you're not getting any more tax dollars. There's only so high you can raise the gas tax and things like that before people just say, nope. Historically, Republican presidents have always worsened the economy. Democrats have always improved it. And 10 of the 11 recessions since 1953 have been under Republican leadership. But yeah, liberal man bad. Okay, again, this guy's just grabbing numbers. He doesn't realize, for one, the purse strings are supposed to be run by Congress. And usually, if you know your history, when there's an R in the presidency, the other party, Democrats, usually then run the economy, and vice versa. There's a transition period, but it seems that people just get bored. So it happened with Obama, it happened with Reagan, it happened with Clinton. So you can't just look at the head of the ticket and say, oh yeah, it's because the Republicans were there, the economy was bad. Well, no, the purse strings were held. So it has to be a team effort. Back when the economy really got good after a terrible economy under Jimmy Carter. This guy's obviously not young enough to remember the gas lines and the inflation back then. Reagan came in and said, I'm going to try to get rid of all of this red tape. And then he actually had the help. There was a pushback, but he had help. I believe it was Tip O'Neill, who was the Democrat. They ended up helping the economy together. They it's good to have both. One keeps the other from doing too much. And then same thing with Clinton. He had a Republican House, helped him there. So you can't just look at numbers and say, oh, yeah, Republican bad and Democrat good. It's a picture. Right now, we see that because this kid was raised probably in this polarization that nobody talks to each other anymore.
Right. So, and I remember all blacks aren't a monolith, but I remember growing up as a young African-American child here in Los Angeles.
African-American? Wow, you haven't used that term in a while.
Black child that we were kind of taught to hate Reagan. And like a lot of my family worked in government jobs, worked for the VA, the post office, the public school system. And what Reagan did was he took away, you couldn't double dip if you had two different jobs as far as getting your pension and things like that. He took that away. And people also accused him of closing down all the mental institutions, and all the mental people in the mental were ran loose. All Reagan did, and that's where Reaganomics came from, was he basically said, let's get big government out of the way so small mom and pop businesses and what I call compassionate capitalism can grow and flourish. That's what Reagan did. And things have worked out well since then until Democrats come along and ruin it.
And remember, and I don't know if it was Reagan or Nixon I think it was Nixon who started closing down all of the mental institutions. We can do a whole episode on that. That was kind of the one flew over the cuckoo's nest thing. People were like, these places are awful. Sure they were, but now where are all those people? They're on the streets of San Francisco. They're on the street of LA getting no help, literally dying on the streets. So that's a whole nother topic. So let's here's this last one. This is funny. Admit it, none of this has to do with facts. It's entirely feelings, which is so hilarious coming from the party that coddles Ben Shapiro. Again, this guy's getting his facts from MSNBC, so that's a little bit of a side note there.
Well, we rushed this really quick because, like I said, this is the second take of this because
I know, it's my fault that time.
That's all right. It happens. But we missed you guys and want to show you guys that we're still friends, and we wanted, actually, my wife.
We are here. It's not a split screen. It's real.
My wife yelled at us to like, you guys need to film something together. You guys are here together. Let's get it done. So that's what we're doing. We're going to go out and grab some coffee now. We're going to go into town. I'm going to put the pressure on Brian. He may add a few clips from my stay here and some video clips of riding the ATV and feeding the goats and going down to the holler and what other country stuff did we do?
The holler. We went on the lake.
We went out on the lake.
Cedric didn't get in the lake, though, so I guess it is true. Black guys don't swim.
I swim. I just don't want to catch any Lyme disease. That's like that.
I told him Lyme disease is ticks, man. He doesn't even know his country jargon out here.
It is what it is. All right. We hope you enjoy that. From what I understand, Brian's going to put this on both channels, Cedric and Brian Speak Out, and our OG channel, just simply Cedric and Brian. But make sure you like.
Hold on.
No?
Hold on. The reason we did this episode is because of comments from you. Keep them coming. We need the comments on both channels. So if you're watching this on our original Cedric and Brian OG channel, go ahead and just flip it on the other channel too. Let it run. You've already watched it, but just let it go and then comment on it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
Good job.
Now you can ask them to like.
Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, and continue sharing our channels with everyone you know from California and right here in Tennessee. Until next time, you guys, keep loving each other, keep doing the right thing. And until next time, I'm Cedric.
I'm Brian.
Cedric and Brian Speak Out!
That was